I want to ask you something today. When was the last time you actually raised your prices? Was it a while ago? Do you even remember when that upgradation or you felt like, oh, this is the time I should raise it? It's doing excellent now. Not thought about it, actually did it. If the answer is more than 6 months or never, I want to show you something. Because the reason you have not raised the prices almost certainly has nothing to do with the market at all. Your competitors, or whether you are ready, or any of that thing. It has to do with something that happened in a house you grew up in, long before you had a business, long before you knew what pricing even meant. Last week, I introduced the concept of emotional charge, stored incomplete experience within your body from childhood that fire in adult situation as disproportionate emotional responses. Today I want to go into the most specific and most financial costly one I see in founders, the money charge. Here's how it typically forms in most household, especially in India, especially in families building from nothing. Money was never a neutral topic in the family home. It was loaded. It was discussion in hushed voices, argued about loudly. It's about tied to stress, to scarcity, to survival, to a sense that there was never quite enough. It was not discussed at all, which created its own charge. The silence said money is dangerous, complicated, not something we talk about openly, but there's always an argument behind it. A child growing up in that environment absorbs that emotional charge around the money before they have the cognitive framework to even process what is happening, why it is happening. They do not learn that money is neutral, a tool, a resource, an exchange of value. They learn that money is heavy, wanting it is complicated, asking for it is uncomfortable, that having too much of it might make you different from the people you love, make you act differently, make you behave differently, make you egoistic, and the list goes on and on. But overall, there's a negative charge associated to it, and that forms in the brain over the course of time. That charge travels into adulthood, into every pricing conversation, every sales call, every moment of deciding that what to charge for your work. So let me be specific about how I see this charge show up in founder's business. 1. The discount before the ask. The client has not negotiated. They've not even seen the price yet properly. But the founder system, anticipating the discomfort of the conversation, preemptively discounts. They send the proposal with a lower number than they intended, not from strategy, from a charge that says, if I ask for too much, I will lose the relationship. 2. The apology pitch. You have probably felt this the moment where you are about to tell a client what you charge and something in you wants to apologize for the number, to justify it, to explain why you're worth it before they have even responded. The apology is not about the client, it's about the charge that says your value needs to be defended before it can be claimed. 3. The ceiling that will not move. You have been charging the same rate for 1 year, 2 years, something longer, not because the market will not support more, not because your skills have not grown, Because somewhere in your system, moving past a certain number triggers the childhood charge around money being dangerous. The ceiling is not in your market, it is in your nervous system. 4. The invoice avoidance. Following up on unpaid invoices produces a physical response in some founders that is completely disproportionate to what is actually happening. The anxiety, the procrastination, the way the follow up email takes 3 hours to write. That is not about the invoice, that is the charge around money and conflict that was formed in household where financial stress always led to tensions. Now, here is the important part. Understanding this charge does not clear it automatically. I said this past week also, last week also, before that also, and I want to repeat it because it is the most important distinction in all the work I do. You can read the video, nod along, recognize yourself completely, and still discount before the next speech because the charge is not in your understanding, it is in your body. The clearing process has 3 stages, but stage number 1 is you have to find the location, getting specific about original event or pattern of event that formed the charge, not just knowing about it, feeling where it is sits in the body. For most people with a money charge, it sits in the chest or stomach. There is a physical contraction when money is discussed that has been there so long it feels normal. Stage 2 is completion, feeling the original emotion fully. The child who heard the argument, the teenager who felt the tension of scarcity, the emotion was stored incomplete, it was suppressed instead of processed. So, completion means letting it move through fully rather than around. This is not comfortable at all, but it is the only thing that actually clears the charge rather than managing it. And stage number 3 is rechoosing. With the adult eyes, look at what the original event actually meant. Separate from the meaning your system assigned to it at that time, at that age, 12 or 8 or whatever age that was. Most money charges are built on meaning, like wanting money makes you greedy, or money creates conflicts, or financial success will separate you from the people you love. These were the conclusion formed under emotional pressure by a child without the resources to see clearly. The rechoosing is deciding as an adult with full information, as an observer who is looking at that scenario and understanding what happened and how the charge is not relevant to you anymore. Whether those conclusions are actually true in current state of life. When all 3 stages happen, even partially, the charge starts to dissolve. The pricing conversation becomes factual now. The invoice follows up becomes ordinary. The ceiling starts to move automatically. But one question before I close this video. Think about the price you are currently charging for your most important work. Now ask yourself, is that number based on the value I deliver? Or is it based on what my system believes I am allowed to ask for? If there's a gap between those two, the gap is the money charge, and the gap is costing you every month. Book a loop decode session. We locate the specific charge, running your pricing, 30 minutes. It's free. Subscribe. Next week, there's a first guest episode of Reset Entropy podcast. Arrives on Thursday. A founder who has lived through the loop and decoded it in the middle of building something real. Subscribe so you are there for it.